Let's see who shows up. Haven't done a car live feed, and I'm not even in my car. I'm in my wife's car, so we get to do this in the Prius. So I'm hoping a couple people show up. I started one, so if you guys are confused, I did start one. You might have gotten a notification. I started one, and then I realized Bluetooth was set up, and the camera was wrong, and I couldn't flip it, so I just deleted it. I took it down. So let's see if anyone even shows up. Jeremy Russell's here. Of course you are. You're always here, except when you're not. 2 people. Who all's here? Come on. Oh, back down to 1. Who's here? Chad's here. Are we going to have one of this thing where it's just 2 people, then 1 person, then 2 people, then 1 person? I may just abandon this, if this is going to be those ones that don't work. Ethan. Okay, who all's here? Because it tells me that there's only 1 person here, but I'm hearing comments from 3 distinct individuals. And the only reason I care is because the amount of revenue I make on a live feed, I want to know how many people, not revenue, but the sharing of it. It depends on how many people. My beard is glorious this morning, guys. I got some new beard balm. Don't be a Kalpus. Well, we are going to talk about this. Now, I'm not going to get into specs and stuff like that because I don't have access to my computer. But what I will tell you is this is a standard Benchmade 940-ish. Like I said, I've done the black ceramic. Bradley's here. I've done black ceramic on the outside, and it's got that rough, unfinished look to it. So I did that, and but the big change on this has larger thumb studs now because the blade came from JoJo Jeep, and this is an S90V blade. And now I've always wanted an S90V blade, and so people are like, why? Well, S30V, and people argue with me, this S30V is chippy. Like, as you're sharpening it, you'll get it sharp, you'll run your thumbnail up and down the edge, no little microchips, and then you cut a cardboard box. And then you'll do this, which is, this is how I test. I'll run my thumbnail, the back of my thumbnail, just like that, lightly, and that gives you, like, you won't be able to feel it if you run your finger. I hate seeing people do this, because I know how sharp my knives are. Or doing this, I'm like, no, this is how, like, if you're checking for edge damage, you just run your thumbnail gently, just barely making contact, and you can feel stuff with that thumbnail because it ticks and bumps over it. So at any rate, S30V always chipped. Always, like, no matter what I did, it would always chip where I was cutting. S90V does not. And S90V holds a terrifyingly toothy edge forever. Like, I mean, not forever, obviously, but it does definitely hold an edge. Now, somebody mentioned something. Yeah, I know, you told me. How is coating tie different than coating aluminum? You're never going to get the coating on aluminum that you'll get on titanium. It's much harder to coat. You can see it. It's a thinner, less consistent coating on aluminum. It's because aluminum does not conduct electricity the same way that steel and titanium do. And I'm trying to figure out where my daughter went. She's warming up. Reason we're doing this, instead of doing this at the house, the original plan for today was I take my daughter, drop her off, and then go back and pick her up. So it's, so at any rate, what happened was the Zamboni at that ice rink broke down. And so I had to drive her all the way up here to Poway, which means that I'm going to have to sit in the car until 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably going to go get something to eat. Chad, what do you do with aluminum? Are you doing Cerakote or ceramic coating? Because there's definitely distinct differences between. Even as thin as this coating is on this aluminum, it is held up. I did carry, obviously you can see that you shouldn't acid wash a steel that is so prone to, personally, I don't like acid washing anything. I think I don't, one, I don't like the way it looks. It leaves a surface coating that scratches really easily and detracts from the, and you also have now started a chemical reaction that no matter what you've done, you've opened the pores of that steel and will continue. But no, and D2 is, you shouldn't acid wash something that is that prone to oxidation anyway. It just, all you're doing is you're gonna make it even worse. It's just gonna rust. You can't do 2 layers. You can only do 1 layer. Okay, so the way the nano ceramic works, let me explain why you can only do 1 layer. You can do 2 coatings, but you have to mask off an area. You can only apply enough. Once you reach the amperage where it goes to 0, you can't add any more. So it's like anodizing. That's how you know that you've got as much coating as that will take. The thing that with these nano ceramic is that it's electrically applied. It's almost like it's just like electroplating, except you're using ceramic. So you blast your material, and then you apply electricity to the part, and then you just basically run it through like you're electroplating. And once you hit 0 amps, this looks almost identical to the way it did when it came out of the bath. This is as thick as aluminum will take. I'm just telling you, because it does not conduct electricity the same way. I mean, there's things that you can do to try and make it work, but you can't add more ceramic. That's just what it takes. It'll take as much as it takes. Now, when you blast titanium and you open up those pores, it gives it a spot to adhere to, and you can get a much thicker coating. It's still really, really thin. But at any rate, so this blade is not the satin that was on the S30 blade that was on this. This is an S90V blade that I stuck in what was meant for an S30V. And I gotta tell you, I love S90V. I've always wanted, this is like my perfect Benchmade now. It's not green. That's the first part. Like, I would have lived with the green. It's not green. It's not S30V. It's everything I would want. My S30V actually had blade play, like Lock Rock. This does not. So I don't know exactly, like the blade that was in it. I'm being robbed. See, there's a masked bandit at the back of this vehicle. So at any rate, yeah, this is, I've always wanted, and the reason I like it so much is you wind up with a very small, light package knife. I said this, and you can go watch, I did a video about the Osborne 940. The 940 is, you basically wind up with a very small, light package. Like, it doesn't take up much pocket space. It's really thin, it's comfortable, but you have a full-sized EDC that has a lot of usefulness because you got a big flat area for cutting, like a Warney, and then you have that rounded up area here where you have some belly. It actually winds up looking a lot like, for blade profile, a traditional Tonto. What would I consider as a penknife? I don't know, like a little Barlow, like a little traditional folder. That's what we always called them. They're pen knives. They were for cutting quill pens. Little short, sometimes 2 blades, sometimes 1. They're just, that's what they were for, was cutting a quill pen. They were little short, thin blades. I don't call anything a penknife anymore. It's just a small folding knife. But no, so we're up here. This is the content for the day, and let me explain why this is the only content for today. Guys, I went into escrow. We have to start packing. We start looking at rental properties this week, actually tomorrow. I have to resign from my position on the board at our HOA. I have to resign from the board because I can't, because I'm getting ready to start renting. So I have to prepare my resignation paperwork. I have to get all the stuff ready to pass over. I have to make sure that the agenda items are taking care of the things that I'm responsible for all soon. So there's just not much chance for me to I wanted to shoot yesterday, but you guys saw what happened in the live feed I did yesterday. We had, I looked it up, we had sustained winds in my neighborhood for that period of time. This is the worst I've ever seen it. That canopy in my yard has been up for 3 years. I've had canopies up there, actually for longer than that. I've had canopies in the yard for years. Never had one damaged due to wind. And so I just kept it tied down because it does get windy. I've never had it leave. It was tied down. I had an anchor on the wood deck that it was tied to. It broke that. I had it tied around some bags of dirt and sand. I had a cinder block that was tied to. It broke the 550 cord that those things were tied to it with and lifted it up out of my yard. My neighbor said that she saw it about 30 feet in the air and was scared it was going to land on the car. And it just all of a sudden just slammed down onto the pavement. So I had to clean all that up. I had to take all the stuff that has to, you know, all my strops and everything that stays in my workbench in the drawers because the canopy kept the bench dry. I had to bring all that stuff in. I had to clean up the yard. I had to pick up all the crap that was out in the cul-de-sac. It's my responsibility. I technically made the mess. So by the time I was getting ready to shoot yesterday, it was like 3:30 in the afternoon. My wife was home. I had to help make supper because I was making, I made garlic butter pasta and mashed potatoes. And then my wife made a couple little things. So I was helping make supper. It just, by the time I got done with everything and helped do the dishes, because my wife's busy as well. Daughter's ice skating, my daughter's training, my daughter is done through with her injury. By the time we got done with everything, guys, it was 9 p.m. and I was like, I'm not shooting a video at 9 p.m. And I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm not going to get a chance to shoot a video today because I have to get the mailing ready for the annual meeting of our HOA. So I have to get that out. There's 200 plus envelopes that have to be stuffed and mailed tomorrow. So, like I said, this is what you get because I have to be here. So it's just what it is. I still am going to do the live feeds and stuff when I can. You know, we have stuff going on, but I still, you know, I've got paying subscribers and I don't want it to be like it was around the Christmas holidays where it went dark and you guys didn't hear anything because I was depressed because, well, you know what happened. You know my dad died on Christmas like 4 years ago. So what do you guys got? That's 13 minutes in. That's typically the length of content between 13 and 15 minutes. Now we can just kind of hang out and talk about whatever. And I'm hoping my phone is plugged in and charging. Yeah, guys, do some likes. There's 5 people here, 6 likes. Yeah, that works. The beard balm. Let me tell you guys about the beard balm that I got. I've used it before. I use the same brand. It's great. Like, it keeps your hair from getting all tangled up and stuff. YouTube math. Well, people come in and leave a like and then leave and come in and leave a like and then leave. And I might have 18 likes and 7 viewers. Sometimes I'll have 7 likes and 21 viewers. Like yesterday's live feed, it didn't look like I had that much traffic, but when I looked at it, I'd already had like 32 views just in that live feed. So there's some weirdness that goes on with, you know, what we see and what actually is going on. Because like I said, people log in, log out, log in, log out. So yeah, it's cold. It's cold today. It's 39 degrees. 39 degrees in San Diego. It snowed at Nico's house. He's not in San Diego. He's technically up at Banning and Palm Springs area, but it snowed. So I'm sitting in a handicap spot in front of the ice rink and people are just looking at me because I'm sitting right in front of the front doors and people are looking at me like an idiot.
You're getting robbed again.
I'm getting robbed again because I'm sitting here talking basically to myself in the car. What's everybody carrying today? What's in their pockets? Oh, I'm going to keep reminding, I'm not talking to you. Not talking to you.
I was just saying you're getting robbed again.
I know, you already said that. I said it too. The Olight sale went up yesterday. So feel free to go follow the link that I put up, and I'll make sure the link winds up in this as well. I can't put a description up when I first go live, but there's an Olight link that I've got for the lights. They've got a lot of stuff on sale. They have one, if you guys saw yesterday's live feed, that Hinder FireTech. I haven't seen the I haven't gotten to handle one of the FireTechs yet. 60 degrees in January. It's snowing in Cali. Yeah, it's weird. My sister said we've gotten more. I was showing her pictures of my buddy's house where it snowed up in Borrego Springs area, up towards the Golden Acorn Casino. Now, granted, that's starting to get up in altitude, but it's still San Diego, and it's snowed there. And she's like, you guys got more snow in the San Diego County than we've got in Ohio, where we live.
It was hailing for my family.
It was hailing, yeah. But at any rate, what I was saying is the sale started, that little mini Valkyrie, you can get a bundle deal where you save like $58 by you get one of these and that Valkyrie 2 tactical light that I've got on my SIG. Nothing in my pockets today. I flew into Orlando. Okay, let me, see, you guys don't know how to do this. I took $12,000 worth of knives to Las Vegas, Ohio, Portland. And it's simply a matter of you put them in a case that you can lock, and you put that case in your checked luggage. They don't care if you take knives. I've taken knives. I took a whole case of knives to Japan. And they're like heavily illegal in Japan. Anything more than like 3 centimeters, which is not even 3 inches. So it's just a matter of knowing what to do. There is no excuse for being somewhere and not having a knife just because you had to get on a plane. If you took checked luggage, you could have taken knives. That's just silliness, Bradley. Was that Bradley? No, it's Alex. Alex Klemlark. Klemlark? I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm just picking though. Yeah, you definitely can. A lot of knife makers fly with their cases. Some guys send them, but a lot of guys just pack up like the stuff that they're going to put on the table for the first day to make sure they have it, because sometimes shipping things to yourself at a show is iffy at best, and there's delays. So just to ensure that they have the items they want for the first day, because a lot of times first day of the show is like an invitation only kind of thing, and then they do auctions and things like that. And so to make sure they have their items, they just pack them in their luggage. My daughter's back. 4 people. Where is everyone going? Well, it's true. People are working. So, what's everybody else doing? Like I said, I'm sitting at an ice rink because I'm not allowed to work yet. This is getting ridiculous with this not working thing. So I'm back. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to, hang on a second. There we go. So yeah, I don't know what happened. I got a phone call and it just like locked up. I don't know if there was a long pause of me not moving or anything, but I'm going to have to return that phone call here a little bit later. So I think we'll do like 30 minutes. We got another 10 minutes or so. What do you guys want to talk about? Not getting anything. I'm going to, I gotta get a grinder and cut that canopy up so I can throw it away. That's the worst part of it is getting it, disposing of one of those once they get all chowdered up like that. Like, I mean, and people are like, oh, you could probably salvage it. I was like, guys, you have no idea how bad that canopy was. If you look at it, every bit of the tubing is I mean, even one of the legs is just broke right off. What I was saying earlier is this is the worst I've seen it. I checked and we had yesterday sustained for a long period of the day, sustained 40 mile an hour winds with up to 60 mile an hour gusts And there was some recorded microbursts of 80 to 100 miles an hour throughout the day. As a matter of fact, just down the road from me, I went out to I went out to go get some stuff from the mini mart, the little Navy Exchange mini mart, and I drove down the road. If Michael Phillips is here, he knows where I'm going to talk about. So I'm heading out there, and as I'm driving on the surface streets out around, down towards Potomac, there was a house roof in the road. I don't mean like shingles and stuff, like an entire, like the roof, like it ripped the roof off the house and dropped it in the street. So that could explain why my canopy is ruined. Like we're talking, they had some pretty big microbursts throughout the county. So I have a friend that works up at Miramar, and so the gun ranges up there have to track weather. And he was telling me that, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw your live feed about your canopies. It doesn't surprise me." He's like, we're getting these notifications all day of these massive microbursts, and that's when I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I said you should have seen the house that had its roof ripped clear fuck off, and dumped it in a street." Yeah. You're about to get heavy snow. Hopefully my carport will hold. Hey, Jared's here. Hey, Neves. What's up, Jared? Actually, I just got Jared in touch with the owner. Well, not the owner, the son of the owner, the CEO of Full30.com, so he can start a channel on a different platform where he's not as restricted. Because, like we say, like any of the YouTube creators will tell you, like, YouTube's fun. YouTube's great. It's got a lot of really cool things, and you can build a subscribership. And there's like a lot of things that you can do, but there's also so many restrictions about what you can and can't do. You know, oh, don't do that. We'll give you a strike. And you're like, I don't know if you guys know this. 3 strikes and you're out. They don't even have to be certified. Just somebody complained about something and 3 strikes and you're out. So don't call me Michael. My mother's the only person that calls me Michael, unless my wife is pissed. Like, that's how I know my wife is pissed. Like, I hear her call me by my full first name. Like, parents, like, if they're really mad. No, this is my wife's car. Oh, the other mic. Okay. No, this is my wife's car. I'm driving the Prius today, that's why I had to look as mean as possible. So you wear your beanie, comb your beard out real fluffy. You put your sunglasses on like this. That's what you look like when you drive a Prius. That's what you have to. That way no one's gonna try to rob you. I knew it. I knew somebody was gonna make the ZZ Top reference. I knew it. If I ever hear someone tell Michael J. Emily, you're probably dead. Yeah. ZZ Top. Okay, I've had the other big one on YouTube. This is the one that irritates me, and I don't know if you've had this one yet, Jared. One of the big things that they'll do is they'll come out with these new guidelines and say, okay, but all your old videos are safe. They're grandfathered. And I've got a bunch of videos, like I've got over 1,000 videos on YouTube over the last 5 years, I guess. 4 years. But at any rate, so what'll happen is it's like, oh, your old videos are safe. They're fine. These new requirements, if it was already uploaded and was already certified and you're already getting monetized on it, you don't have to worry about it. And then 2 days later, you get a notification that like 6 of your videos got deleted and 3 of them got demonetized. And you're like, wait, I shot that video 2 years ago. And the whole thing is, you reach out and there's nothing. You get no response back from YouTube. It just goes away. And I mean, let's put it this way, I had a video that made me, it might be buffering, I don't know. I'm in the car on questionable data that are unique to me. I mean, no, I don't have anything that's like unique to me that I carry. I don't have like anything I've made specifically for me, like a pry bar or something. I have a little Nuck. It's a bottle opener, but it is a Nuck, and it's a Rat Bastard Nuck. It looks like a rat. And I'll carry that from time to time, but it takes up a lot of space in pocket. But usually I'm pretty minimalist. I carry my wallet. I just carry my wallet, flashlight, and then like 1 or 2 knives. Like today, I'm carrying 2. I got my Necker. And I got my Benchmade. I have my full dress Necker, which gets terrifyingly sharp. And then I just carry my big wallet. And I carry my big wallet because I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of business cards in here because I'm, if I need to, I don't want to have to, oh, well, I got to get a hold of that guy when I get home. I carry around business cards for knife makers other knife makers and things like that I would want to contact, but not necessarily want to have to save all that data in my phone. It's just easier, like, oh, let me get this guy an email. Just pull his card out of your wallet. But, well, there's a reason for that. So my wife and my wife's mother, being Japanese, they have some really weird superstitions about what good luck and bad luck, what causes it. Folding your money is a really, really, really bad thing in Japanese culture. And my mother-in-law my mother-in-law threw a fit, and I got this wallet to appease her. And then I realized it's nice because, like, it has a lot of space in it. And plus, if my kid acts up, I can just pop her in the head with that little silver medallion. Pop! It hurts. I tested it, So, yeah, I just got a little. Well, plus I'm a country boy. I rode horses. I was basically a cowboy growing up. That's how I grew up. Traditional pocket knives are nice. There's some good ones out there. There's some really nice ones out there. I'm watching the lady in the car next to me eat, and apparently she, yeah, it's a back pocket. This goes in my back pocket, and the thing is, it has enough size and weight to it. Like, I tested it. You cannot get this out of my pocket without letting me know. Well, that's what this technically is, a checkbook holder. It's got spots for cash. It's a wallet / checkbook, but I don't carry a checkbook. To sit down, I had to sit down and write a check the other day. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I taught my wife how to write a check because I remember. But when I sit down and write a check, I'm checking everything. I'm like, it takes me forever. I taught my wife how to do it. She pays all of her bills. And my wife can write a check like that. I'm like, babe, I need a check for, and she goes, how much? I was like, okay. She's like, for who? I was like, okay. And she's like, there you go. I'm like, gosh, how do you do that? She said, then she takes the receipt, and then she goes, checks the balance. I don't balance our checkbook anymore, like technically don't balance it, because with electronic online banking, I don't really need to. I can check at any given time. And she's like, can I write a check for this much? Do we have the money? Do we have the money I got to pay the coach? She's like, I just want to write a check. I don't want to have to get... I forgot the car was on. It's a Prius. It turned itself on, turned the engine on. It scared the crap out of me. But yeah, I mean, it's just... Banking apps are great. Plus, I mean, like now, you guys remember we used to have to... I'm old. I remember when you used to have to wait for the bank to send you a canceled check so that you knew it had gotten cashed. Because you're out there and you're like, they're like, oh, we need that money. I was like, I sent you the check. This is the check number. I sent it to you. And they're like, well, has it been canceled? And you would either have to call your bank and they would have to check their records, or you would wait till you got a canceled check back in the mail. Do any of you guys remember that? You remember back in the day when you actually could go inside banks? It's cold. It's 39 degrees still here. God, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm so sick of all these restrictions. And I understand that we have to protect the people that are vulnerable, but for God's sake, I'm tired of being stuck doing nothing. Oh, what I was saying is the lady next to us, the lady is parked next to me. She apparently forgot her silverware because she has a Tupperware container of food, and she's like shoving her face down in it with her hands because she forgot her silverware. I never thought I would go into the bank with a mask on and ask for money. I may look like I'm the kind of guy that would go into a bank and with a mask on and ask for money, but I'm definitely not. So, well, guys, I'm not going to stay on here too much longer. I apologize. Like I said, I will try to get some content done, but I don't foresee it happening. We may just do Tuesday, Thursday live feeds. I may just do live feeds in the mornings throughout the week. You know, I try to do a couple live feeds a week when I can, and then have the videos that go up. If I can't do that, I'm just going to do live feeds throughout the week because I don't have to edit and things like that. And even though, like I told Jared, the way I edit and the fact that the Apple software is so compatible, it doesn't take as long as it takes other people. You know, I can go from shoot to edit in like 5 minutes because I can just airdrop the files. I can just airdrop the files to my laptop, and then, you know, I already have I have my intro shot, I have the outro shot, the intro, and then the scroll of the people, and I have to edit that scroll because people have dropped out of the membership stuff. But I can go from shoot to edit and then start uploading. Usually the shooting is the longest part. Usually about an hour, I'm done. And then I have to upload, but then I have to check the upload, and I have to make sure all the tags go in and all that stuff. And then description and end screen blocks. So, you know, usually it takes me a couple hours per video, sometimes a little bit longer. It depends on how much editing I have to do. And I watch the video. And so, you guys, like the premieres that I do, people are like, oh, Mike rage quit the premiere because no one was interacting. I've done premieres where just no one talks. I'm like, all right, guys, if you aren't going to talk to me, I'm out of here. This is one of the big Priuses. This is like a van. So, well, I have my tags preset. I just have to make sure they populate. There's a way to do it, Jared. There's a way to do it on YouTube where you can go into your settings and have your description, always have your links and affiliate links and just your basics, like a link to the membership, all those things. You can do all that in the settings on YouTube. Have your presets so that they populate. You just got to make sure that they populate, because sometimes if I do a video from my phone, it does not populate the tabs. It does not. None of the tags populate. None of the preset stuff populates. I have to manually go in and do it. And then I can't do a description on the phone. I don't. Like my tags just are, I can't put any more tags. Like my preset tags, it's full. Like I can't put any more, there's no more room for me to type another thing. But then I like links and things like that in my description. It's not always standard. Like some of it is. But yeah, it doesn't take that long, but you know, it's the shooting and having time to shoot and things like that. And even with it being, you know, I'm still I don't have a couple hours right now to dedicate. I got people calling me right now about HOA stuff, and it's only 8:45 in the morning. So I got to make that call back. But no, I'll stick around here with you guys for a little bit. We can do that. Because like I said, live feeds, I don't have to do any of that editing and things like that. And like right now, it's downtime. Most of the time when I'm doing a live feed is because I can't do other stuff, because I can't make a bunch of noise around the house. So I do a lot of my video filming while the wife and kid are still asleep early in the morning. Live feeds, I do it when the kid's doing school and stuff like that. What's up? So 12 people here. Let's see how many of you guys have already liked it. So if you haven't already liked it, let's see what happens when you guys like it. I want to see how many likes we get on this. I will tell you the one thing about this. So when we put this blade in, I hate taking Axis lock. I hate taking Benchmade Axis lock knives apart, especially these little tiny Osborne, these thin ones, because that is not a delicate tool. It's not meant for fine detail work. So I had Christian over at Cerberus Knives take this apart and put the new blade in it for me, because it literally would have taken me twice as long. And he did a really good job, except he got this screw and this screw out of place, and I was like, why is this feel, the knife, first of all, the knife felt weird. Like it felt really tight. Like it just felt like it was kind of off. And then I tried to put it in my pocket, and it just felt like it was just going to rip my pocket. Well, that's because there was about 1/16 of an inch of that screw sticking up. because he got these reversed, and so there wasn't enough tension back here. It was really tight here. It was sticking through, and it just kind of put the knife. And so once I swapped those screws out, it was no problem at all. But yeah, shout out to Christian. He's the one that put the S90V blade in this for me, because Benchmade bug outs, but basically all of the Benchmates that have the access lock, I hate taking them apart. I don't have a problem with the PM2s. I don't have a problem with PM2s because it's, well, the tube. I got news for you. You don't need to have that tube in there. It's not necessary. And a lot of times, Spyderco's being Spyderco's, a lot of times when you close that knife real hard, you knock a chunk out of your blade because they don't have the best of QA on their knives. I have probably fixed a little half circle divot in 15 Spyderco PM2s, a couple Caribbeans, basically all the ones that have that lanyard tube going through them. I've probably sharpened, oh dude, so many of them. Like every one of them that has that. I can't remember if the Spidey Chef has that one too. But I mean, that's just I hate that knife anyway. I just don't like it. It's not good at what it was designed for as a kitchen knife. A lot of people love it. I'm not discounting that. Just like the Sleece Bowie. Like Nick Shabazz and I talk all the time about that. Like that's a constant joke between me and Nick. I text him all the time. I texted him yesterday. I was telling him something about, we were talking about my decision to sell the house. This is funny. I text Nick and I'm like, hey man, I sold the house. And he goes, oh, what's going on? And I was just like, I got enough equity in it that it just makes sense to sell it right now. I'm going to pocket like 130 grand. And he goes, yeah, that's the smartest, that's a good idea. And I was like, I like the joke about being the poster child I love most of the Alamics. I was like, I like to joke about being the poster child for poor decisions, but you know, the majority of decisions I make are sound. And he was like, yeah, I'd have to agree. And I was like, I do understand though that I look like I should be, this is the exact thing I sent him. I was like, I do understand that I look like I should be running through a parking lot, wearing a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, in my underwear with an American flag tied around my neck, screaming, I was raised on a racetrack, firing finger guns, pew, 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 pew. And I was like, and you know, you can 100% picture me that way. And he's like, sends back a text and he's like, how else would I picture you? It's like the only way I could ever picture you. So Nick Shabazz, I don't know if you guys, I know there's a lot of guys like, I don't like his channel. Nick's got like 130,000 subscribers. So if you say you don't like his channel, you still watch him, guess what? You're a fan. But Nick is a really, really honestly great guy. He really, really, truly is. Like one of the, like there's a list of guys that in the knife community, like knife YouTubers and knife community in general, that there's not much that they could ask that I wouldn't do. Jim Skelton, Nick Shabazz, Jared, TJ from Heretic Knives, Jason McCoy, Kayla McCoy, was it? Jason McCoy, Kayla McCoy, Jake McCoy, the whole McCoy family over at Microtech, and then, you know, Corey Campbell at Microtech, Tim and Ann Reeves. I mean, they're just generally great people. Bob Terzuola, I talked to Bob the other day. I'm waiting for these restrictions to lift. I really want to get up and see Bob. Bob's not getting any younger, and the chances to spend time with the godfather of tactical knives is getting thin and slim. And I got news for you. I don't know if you guys saw the Instagram post of me and Bob at a barbecue. Bob is so great. He's just not only is he just a wealth of knowledge, he's just a genuinely sweet guy. A truly great guy. What was that? Times Square has been missing a good naked cowboy. It's too cold, man. I'm in San Diego and I'm bundled up. What makes you think I'd be able to do that in New York? Screw that. Plus, New York. Why would I do that? But no, there's a whole group of people. Oh, Aaron Frederick, Brian Nadeau. They're just great guys. I talk to Aaron Frederick all the time. I haven't talked to Brian. I need to talk to Brian Nadeau. I haven't talked to Brian Nadeau from Sharp by Design. I haven't talked to him in a few months. I don't see how he's doing. I know he's grumpy old bastard like me, so I would imagine that he's just going nuts with no shows. But there's some of those guys though too that I like to check on, because like Jim Skelton's doing okay. He's doing okay as far as business, but there's a lot of those guys like Aaron Frederick. Brian Nadeau not as much these days because he's gotten into production stuff. But some of those guys, they're just like, shows are the only way they make money. Like Heretic Knives, Microtech Knives does well on their own, but I guarantee that TJ, Tony Jr. over at Heretic Knives, I guarantee that this is hurting his business greatly. And which sucks because he's just one of the sweetest dudes. Like, he's one of the greatest guys. Like, have you guys noticed, like, when you watch a show video, there's a handful of tables that I always wind up at? Like, TJ over at Heretic Knives, I always wind up at his table. And to the point where he trusts me enough that, like, when we were at Portland, things weren't going great at his table. And I walked by, I was like, what's going on, Tony? He goes, man, this is some horse shit. I was like, what's up? And he goes, dude, can you watch the table for me? I gotta get out and walk around for a minute. I was manning the Heretic Knives table for, probably 20 minutes or so. So, yeah, I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun to talk to these guys and get these different perspectives on things. Like Nick and I have completely different perspectives. Like, he likes a Salish buoy, and he's like, well, it comes to the top, that cream. And I was like, yeah, turds float. Turds float, Nick. You're absolutely right on that one. I'm just not a fan of it. The only reason Spyderco ever was able to sell them was because Nick liked them and he had a big enough audience. I was like, you sold every one of those Salish buoys. You sold every one of those for Spyderco. There's no way they could have marketed those if you didn't like them. What was another one one that he and I definitely agree on, the 80-20. The 80-20 is like Jared's. I was just talking about you. You always come in at the end, Jojo. Jojo Jeep 1, that's the guy that gave me the blade for this. I have to go back and watch it from the beginning because I was talking about how much this is the 940 I wanted. They just Spyderco, or not Spyderco, Benchmade wouldn't do it for me. And this is like the only Benchmade that I would own. Like, really, like the Osbornes, any of the Osborne designs. They're all good designs. I'm just not a fan of much of the other stuff Benchmade does, and I'm definitely not a fan of what they charge for the level of quality they're providing. 12 o'clock. You must be on the East Coast. I've got to set this. I got to turn this thing on. Because I'm cold. I'm going to turn on some heat. There we go. Turn that fan down a little bit. I don't know. If you guys hear it, just let me know if you can hear that blowing through. I guess we'll just keep going for a little bit. I do have to make a couple phone calls, but we'll keep this going for a little bit. Let's see. Anybody got any other questions? I'm curious. I sent Nick and I talked about it, and I was talking about how happy I was with the sea snake, and he goes, you know what? I just need to get one. And I was like, don't go and buy one. Here's the thing. Like, I told him, I was like, on the chance that you like it and do a video, I would much rather it be that I gave you one than you buy one and not like it and then decide you're going to do a video about how bad it is. Like, because then it's like, if you spend money on something and then you get it and then you're going to do, and you do a video about it and you don't like it, it's so much worse. Like, some of these knives that get a meh would have been a rant, and that I was like, I just can't ever do a video about this if I had paid for them. It's one of those things where, you know, I can, if I get a knife in and I have some thoughts about, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the stuff Leon does. And I'm going to throw this out there. I've met Leon Ma. He's an okay guy. I call him Larry. That's how he's like, call me Larry. I was like, okay. So a lot of the stuff that Leon does is okay stuff. I'm not a real big fan of like a lot of his designs. He has a couple good ones. The thing that irritates me is he's always one of those guys that no matter what a knife looks like, he goes out and before he ever even talks to the manufacturer or the designer, he just like, oh, they're copying my designs. And I'm like he'll throw that out there and scream and holler at people who are stealing his designs. And then you go and you compare the two, and it's too late. The damage is already done because he's got a following. and it's unfair. And so he does that, and then people get just trashed on Instagram and trashed on Facebook. And then when you look at the two knives, you're like, that they don't look anything alike. They're completely different. Like I would not even remotely think that those were derivative. That was a derivative design. It looks nothing like that. But he's done that several times. And as nice a guy, and as much as I like him, and I talk to him every time I go to shows, I think that's unfair to some makers, because you guys know the fact is we're running out of new knife designs. There's only so many, unless you come up with some unique new locking system or something like that. Knives are pretty much just gonna be knives. It gets hard to come up with brand new things. And so to do that to someone where you basically just throw them out there and, you know, to throw them out there and then they get bashed in the public eye before the knife ever gets released, and then it doesn't make any money, that's unfair. Well, here's the thing. Todd basically told people they can use that. That's not that they came up with it, but that's not something that, like, okay, I'm gonna throw this one out there. The Hoback, the HRD. Yeah, but I mean, that was because I came up with something that just really, there's not a lot of knives in that space. The ultra light EDC fixed blade. There just aren't many. A lot of times they wind up being, oh, well, you can do this and this and this, and they're like, oh, it's a multi-purpose. Mine isn't. Mine serves one purpose. It's an EDC fixed blade. It doesn't try to be anything it's not, and that was kind of unusual, and we were surprised it sold. But it was a space that's not overpopulated. It's not like folding knives and things like that. Case in point, like I was saying, the HRD, the Hoback rolling detent. Jake Hoback tries to get people, he's like, you got to acknowledge that you got to throw my name out. I was like, how narcissistic are you? Because the thing is, the HRD is off-the-shelf parts that already existed. Yeah, maybe he was one of the first guys to throw it into a folding knife, but the fact is, it already existed. You can look that up. I think it was called a rolling set screw or bearing set screw. Do I like Hogue? I like Hogue. The guys at Hogue, I don't know the guys at Hogue like I know some of the guys at the other knife companies. Because Hogue's really closed loop. Hogue is really closed loop. They have a designer, and that's pretty much it. Like, I tried to give him a design one time. Like, no, we already have a designer. I'm like, more designs, more better. Like, broader audience. Nope. They basically have a guy that designs for them, and that's pretty much the guy. Like, I know they have some other stuff, but they're like, yeah, we're not talking. I have your lock. I have to go to the body shop because I have your lock. What lock are we talking about? I don't. I bet he's talking about my luck. And it's his luck that his phone would screw it up. So, one of the other things I'm noticing about YouTube, yeah, you said lock. L-O-C-K. Just saying, like, I mean, that's your luck right there. Here's the quandary of the 21st century. Turn off autocorrect and send things that make you look like an idiot. Or turn on autocorrect and let your phone send things that make you look like an idiot. And you all know it's true. Man, look at that. Look at that face pelt. I'm proud of this beard. My wife hates it. Oh, I got in the kitchen and she looked at me and I was like, you want to taste this? She goes, no, I don't want to eat after you. It's like, why? She's like, I hate that beard. I hate it. I was like, what's my beard have to do with tasting the food that I made? She goes, I hate your beard. I hate it. I was like, you hate it when I shave. She goes, maybe I just hate your face. And I was like, that's fair. We've been married for 19 years. We can say things like that to each other. You can say things to your wife after 19 years of marriage that you wouldn't even, you can do and say things that you would never have thought about doing in the first year of marriage. I walk into the kitchen in my underwear and a sweatshirt and socks, and I'll fart on my way through to make my cup of coffee while she's sitting at her kitchen table. Because sometimes she has to get up early to take the kids skating. So usually I'm the first one up. But if they go skating, she gets up early, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I'm up, and so I'll come shuffling through wearing black sweatshirt, white socks, and in my underwear, and I fucking walk by and just let a fart go while I'm going to the coffee pot. So I'm like, yeah, you can get away with stuff like that. You couldn't do that when you first get married. Like, I didn't know my wife farted for the first 5 years we were married. 6. First time I ever heard my wife fart was when she was pregnant. Right? It's a Brad Paisley song about going fishing. Yeah, there's things that I recognize in my marriage that I saw my parents do. I'm just like, it doesn't even bother me. Like, my wife walks in. My wife walks in now. Like, before, she'd be like, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about turning off the TV. I can sleep while you're watching TV or playing video games in the bedroom." This is when we lived in Japan. We'd only been married a year or two. It was a big thing. I had a second TV. Now I got a TV in every goddamn room. But if she would come to bed, and she would, she'd come to bed, and she's like, no, it's okay. You don't have to stop playing, stuff like that. And I'd be like, okay. Now she comes in and she just walks by the TV. She turns the TV. I can be in mid-game, like in mid-combat on a game, like Red Dead Redemption, and I'm fighting bad guys. She'll walk right in front of me, turn the TV off, and lay down. She's like, "I'm going to bed," and I'm like, "Well, I got to turn this off. I'm gonna die." That's just rude, you know. Say things to your wife like that's, she'll say something like, "This is why no one likes you." You can't get away with that when you're younger. No, man, that's not true. Mine are pretty bad. You ever fart in the shower and it was like a little fart and it was way worse than you thought it was, and had to turn around and look just to make sure you had not shit? You're like, did I just shit in the shower? What is, God bless. What is my favorite Ferrum Forge design? I saw the question, but I wasn't done yet. And if I interrupt what I was saying, I'd have to say, as aesthetically, I'd have to say it's the spinner, the Gavco Collab spinner. As far as in use and carry, it's a toss-up between my NTAC and my Master Blaster. The Master Blaster is a little bit bigger. It can handle some heavier duty tasks. It's got that Wharncliffe blade. It's nice and straight. It comes in really handy to have. But the NTAC is a lot easier to carry. It's just, SE knives are great. I don't have a need for them. That's another thing. Like, people ask me about knives, and the thing is, like, the way I look at knives has drastically changed just over the time that I've done YouTube. I used to work for the government. I had just got out of the military when I first started this channel. And I was doing a lot of things that I would need a really robust knife for. Like my Microtech DOC, my Ferrum Forge knives. But now that I mean, guys, I don't do those things anymore. I got 2 blown knees. I've had 4 shoulder surgeries. I got fused vertebrae in my back. I walk with a limp. I have a freaking handicap placard. I'm not that guy that's out in the bush and in the woods and doing those things anymore. I'm not 20-year-old Mike. I'm almost 50-year-old Mike at this point. And so what I look at in a knife has kind of changed a lot. Like, I mean, drastically. And that's why you see things like me really liking some of those budget knives with the budget steels, because I can get a knife that has the build quality. Because I'm going to tell you right now, our artisan and CJRB knives built to the standard of quality of my Microtex and my Ferrum Forges, the basically like mid-tech style knives. No, I owned a whale shark for a while, and I got rid of it because I had the DOC. They were so similar. At any rate, what I was saying is, are they built to that quality level, like that level of super tight fit, and you don't ever have to adjust them, and they're exactly the way you want, and everything's locked? No, they're not. But the fact is, I'm not treating my knives like I used to. And so those budget knives and those budget steels, I have started to realize and come to the realization that things like the Artisan Arroyo that I just did, if that blade shape had a little bit more, a little less belly and a little bit bigger, I'm not going to pick a knife maker. They both make great things. I don't own either one of their knives, so I can't make that choice. So what I would say is, like, those knives that are more in the budget, the cheaper realm, with budget steels, are fully adequate for anything I'd want to do. They hold an edge long enough for me. And these days, guys, you know what I'm doing? I'm breaking down boxes. I'm sharpening a pencil every once in a while. I'm doing little things. It's just one of those things that I have kind of changed around. I don't carry my Ferrum Forge knives as much as I do. I'm not going to sell them, but I don't always need that heavy, like a lot of, I haven't worked since April. So, like, I'm wearing basketball shorts and track pants. Carrying a super heavy Ferrum Forge full titanium, thick blade stock knife is not going to be as comfortable as carrying something like the Rhea, which by its own merits is an incredibly good knife. What am I missing? People are laughing about. Agreed. Budget brands love Civivi. Yeah. Do you like Jacobs? And like I said, as far as to compare Jacobs knives to BGM's knives, that's not fair. I mean, because I'm always going to have a bias. I'm friends with Jake. I talk to Jake on a daily basis. John over at BGM Knives, I think I've talked to him twice. I'm going to have a bias, so it's not fair to even ask me that. They're both great upcoming knife makers that do great work. Yeah, a little less belly. My wife says that about me. She wishes I had a little less belly, but I keep reminding her that I'm 50, almost 50 years old. Almost 47. I am closer to 50 than I am to 40. So by that definition, I'm almost 50. It's ridiculous. I never thought growing up that I would make it this far. I'm like the kind of guy that would get voted least likely to live past 20. Frank the Tank. I'm going to watch Old School today. But like I said, I mean, on the construction site, I was carrying I carried a couple different knives. I'm not going to talk about politics. You may as well, here, we'll just do this. I'm going to remove that because that gets channels demonetized. Please don't do that. I've stayed clear of talking about politics. Let's just say it's trying times for everyone. We're not putting up political things. This is not the channel for that. This is a knife channel, not a political channel. You know how channels like AVGN have avoided all the conflict and things like that because they don't get involved in that. I have my own opinions, but guess what? At this point, people don't want to hear other people's opinions. People want to hear what they want to hear come out of your mouth. And I'm not that guy, so we're not even going to go there. You know what I mean? Because there's at this point, that's not even what Instagram's for. At this point in culture, people don't want to hear what anyone else has to say. So I keep my content in a realm that people still do want to hear what other people have to say. So that's that. Please don't put anything political up on my channel. I had a guy that kept doing it. Love it. Here's the best thing about these knives. As much as I don't trust the Axis lock as a it's just the Mastiff. the Artisan Mastiff. Is that what we're talking about? At any rate, while I don't trust these springs and everything like that, it is unique and fun to have a knife that it's a decent locking mechanism. Some good smaller folders. Well, if you go back, I did a video about I think it was my top 5 knives of 2020. I did that video, and there's a knife in there that I think got honorable mention, which was the Artisan Rhea. And I'm not gonna lie, it is a really, really, really good little knife. I have a problem with I know Elliot designed it. I have a problem with pocket clip on that. I hate the pocket clip on it. And the Odium's not comfortable for me. It's a great knife. I'm not saying you can't like it. I'm just saying it's just not a knife for me. I had the same feel for the Prolix when I first got it from Elliot, but then I carried it for a little while and I was like, no, this one I can get behind. But the Odium, I didn't like the way it felt in my hand. It's enough different. Like everybody's like, oh, the Prolix, it's a Wharncliffe Odium. I was like, no, it's not. The handle's different. It just feels different. And I think because it's small is why the pocket clip feels weird in my hand. But once I got past it and I really was using it, I was like, yeah, it's not bad. I have a brand new, only cut tape once, Prolix that I'm giving away in the month of February. There's a lot of knives out there to upgrade. The Rhea, like that little Artisan Rhea, is a lot. Here's the thing. The thing I like about it is the blade shape looks like an X-Acto knife, like the rounded X-Acto knife, like a scalpel. But when you put it next to like a Victorinox, the small blade on a Swiss Army knife, it's like a big version of that with a little bit more belly. And I'll tell you what it's really good at. That is good at just about everything. It's just the right thickness. It's not too thin. It's not too thick. People have said stuff about the AR RPM 9. I have a video that I will release publicly now. I hammered, well, Elliot did. I filmed it. Elliot hammered the Rhea through a penny into a steel anvil, and there was not, like, it was still sharp. So, you know, people have different opinions of steels and things like that. Like I said, for me, that steel is just great. I'm not a fan of any Spyderco's, to tell you the truth. I have one in my knife case, and it's just because it's that Matriarch, and I got it for my wife. I don't like Spyderco's. I don't even like the Enduras anymore because the last 2 I got were just jacked up from the factory. I've got one that was a gift that I keep. It's a ZDP 189 one that won't hold an edge through a retail package. You cut a cardboard box with it, and it's, well, I mean, Frank, that's a shape that everyone's used to handling. Guys and girls. Just saying. That's why it's comfortable in hand. Don't think Elliot doesn't know what he was doing when he designed that knife. It was intentional. No, I mean, there's just like I forget what I was talking about now because it's been 65 minutes and I've just been rambling. I know guys have said they like the longer live feeds, but so what was it we were talking about? What were we talking about? Yeah, I don't like Spyderco's. Well, I'm glad for you, but every Spyderco I have seen in the last 3 years has been misground and has got some issue with the pivot. The pivot's always, like, Benchmade has an issue with their pivots too. This one, I'm lucky. It's in the Goldilocks zone. There's very, very little play, and the action is free. Benchmade and Spyderco's, you get blade play, free action. Blade play, one cut hair of a turn, so tight you can't even move it. So tight that the action is just locked. So that's one of the issues. Millet. Yeah, that's another one. If you love your knives to be off center with poor grinds, get a millet. I had one come in and the guy's like, "Hey, can you center this for me?" I was like, "I'll give it a shot." Called him back later. It was like, "I can't center this for you." He's like, "Why?" I was like, "I think it was ground that way." I think that the knife is just crooked. I think that the blade, from the point where it touches the pivot, instead of being ground straight, is ground this way. I mean, it was bad. It was almost it was a torrent, and it was like, it was almost rubbing the scale. Now, if I get like my Centros, my CJRB Centros is a little off center. It's not rubbing. It's just a little off center. Guess what? That's a $40 knife. I'm going to be a little forgiving on a knife that's $40, that's still well constructed, that just is a little off center, versus one of these that are, at this point, I think they're $180 being off center. If I pay more than $100 for a knife, I should not have to adjust things. What are we doing here? I had an SS Enduro I got from the local shop. Markup was a stream, the last one I bought from them. I did have the stainless steel Enduro. I had one of those, and I loved it. And it developed blade play back and forth, because it was a press fit pivot and everything, so you couldn't really adjust it. And it developed some blade play, and I wound up, and there was a guy that was retiring. It was a Navy chief, and he always wanted that knife, so that was his retirement gift. He didn't want one, he wanted mine, and so I gave it to him as a retirement gift. I polished up the scales and sent it off to him for him to love on it for a while. The budget stuff has just come so far over the past years. CJRB Artisan, so much bang for a buck. Yeah, Civivi, Tangram, which is Tangram had some weird designs when they first started making budget knives that's the Kaiser brand. But they've got some good stuff. I mean, there is good quality stuff out there at budget prices. And one of my sloppy seconds. So, well, guys, it has been 67 minutes. I'm not going to continue this any longer. It takes forever for these to upload. People complain. They're like, "Oh, I saw you did a live feed, then none of the comments." And I was like, that's because it's still rendering, and it won't render. This probably won't fully render until like 8 o'clock tonight. It takes like 12 hours for these long live feeds to fully render. Like, it uploads it, but then it just takes forever to render. If you guys haven't dropped a like on your way out, please do so. Go find my Olight video. Follow the affiliate link I've got there. They have a sale going on. You can get some really good stuff. There's some really, really good firearms lights that they've got for good prices. And I've got a couple of them at the house right now. They're good. Like, I've got one that's just permanently going to be on my SIG now. I didn't think I would ever be one of those guys. I'm going to put a tactical light on my pistol. I never thought I'd be that guy until I got one I liked. And now I'm going to be a tactical light on my pistol. I'm that guy now. So you guys take it easy. I love you all. I'm in a better mood today. I love you all. I'll see you guys later in the next video.